Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn, chapter 189. This review is going to be a little late, of course, by the time I get it out, but I'm sure you guys will all forgive me for that, because honestly, this chapter had only two key things, one of which I very much don't like the implication of. One thing I really don't like. But outside of that, this chapter was quite short for a Yona chapter, and it only really covered two major things. Right now, well, a few, but the first half of the chapter was simply the discussion of the politics that they may be going to war with the Kai Empire, right? The one that borders, of course, on the Earth Tribe and the minerals and all that stuff, and they go over the politics of that. And they are talking with Hawk that Hawk will be removed from the 35th Company if and when they go to war, because he's, of course, the Thunder Beast. And, you know, Hawk's trying to be modest about it. I mean, there's plenty of stronger guys than me, sort of idea. And it's like, no, there's not. And that has been the thing up until this point. 189 chapters. Hawk is on par with the goddamn dragons. There hasn't been a single warrior throughout this entire series that could actually match up against Hawk 1v1 if it wasn't one of the dragons themselves. Then we get Hawk finally thinking about this, and I find this, I know they're waiting for the big reveal, but I hate when they all call back, like they all know who this guy is, and nobody has mentioned him before. You know, I never like that. It happens, of course, when you're progressing a story, but it feels like Hawk would have, this just so happens to remember him now that we've been introduced to him, you know. I know that's the way it goes with storytelling, but either way, of course, this conversation happens to happen, and he's brought up, and Hawk, remember, back as a small kid, like Hawk at 12, 14 years old. Now he's 18 years old, I believe, 18 or 19. Yeah, he's 18 or 19 years old. He's more of an adult, like we can tell. He still has the feathers in and everything, so even though he was a match for, of course, the Earth Tribe General back then and won, he's still, at that time, he, I guess, faced down the sword master of Suwon, Suwon's bodyguard, and he said there was actually one man who I didn't think I was a match up against. And I'm like, yeah, but that was you, as you were, and remember, the killing intent. Like, I would pit Hawk, who saw Suwon in the village of the Water Tribe. I would pit that one, the one that took down Jodo and two guards, you know, with his fists alone like it was nothing and just stalked towards Suwon. I would take that dude. Or the one that was bloodlust and nearly slaughtered a whole country's worth when, you know, like droopy eyes, how can I reveal my anger? I just want to slaughter everyone. That murderous rage, when he goes bloodlust, when he goes demon mode, beast mode, whatever you want to call it, thunder beast mode, I'd stack him up against that dude. He's going to win. But the thing is that Hawk is remembering him as just a, you know, never having to be in that situation, just really good with a weapon, looking down on a guy who clearly is in a constant, I want to slaughter everybody in my presence mentality. That level of bloodlust eeping off of him, of course it would unnerve Hawk and make him think, like, God damn, this guy's going to go for the kill. Like, and he probably was not prepared for that at this point or anything like that. So I really want to take liberty with this because I don't like the fact that they're going to just introduce this guy and say that Hawk wouldn't be a match for him. It's like, if Hawk's not a match for him, who the hell is? Hawk is completely a match for him. Now, of course, this is just him reminiscing, and that one time he felt fear, the one time he actually was afraid to go up against someone with zero chance of victory. Of course, we all have that feeling, don't we? You always have that first feeling like in your life, and you've matched that since, you know. It's like a soldier first time shooting a gun or shooting someone, you know. Some of them kind of break down that first night and they get into a cold sweat. After that, I'm not saying that killing does become easier, you know. This is a thing, a character progression thing that happens a lot in storytelling, in manga, in anything. So it's not that bad. It's just that I just don't like the idea. I know what it implies, and I know what it's trying to convey. I I just think that right now Hawk's being, his abilities and his usefulness is really being shit on, in the last few chapters. Yona is under the impression the man would actually be assassinated or murdered by anybody. Remember, you and a handful of companions took down entire armies, fortresses, countries, 1,000 men before, and you're worried? You're worried when you're all together, when you have literally the 4 dragons and Hawk all in the same area. You're all in the same goddamn castle, for God's sakes. The insult towards Hawk's ability now, when his ability has only been hyped up for over hundreds of chapters now, almost 200 chapters the series has been going on, and he's been hyped up as the man who can't be killed, the darkness dragon, the man on par, the thunder beast, the invincible general, the one who garners all the respect and the power and has the confidence of every single character we meet. And now all the confidence is lost on him. Even Hawk himself as a character is questioning, it's just all happening too much. I just want one character in the next chapter to go, Hawk can't be killed. I just want one character with a vote of confidence to say, nah, if you try to go against Hawk, he will completely destroy you. Or something like that. Like jae-ha, when he was talking smack to Kyobo or whoever, and was like, unfortunately, it won't be me. You're going to face against something far worse than I am, and that kind of idea. There's going to be a beast like lightning that'll come and tear out your throat. We need that badass line again. This is getting too complacent for me as a Hawk fanboy, as a Hawk stan. I need a character to once again vouch, even Suwon, someone to vouch for Hawk's abilities, that he's the beast of lightning. He is the one who is the best soldier of the last 1,000 years. That's the guy I want, I need that vote of confidence back, because we have the 2 main characters doubting him completely, and I don't like that. So, anyways, that's my rant about that. After this point, we basically jump back over to Yona. Yona's, of course, still terrified of that guy, and he's now out in the open for everybody to see. Whoop-de-doo. And he's still looking like a menace. The artwork is done very well, of course, to convey this. And we do see that she is coming and going as she pleases. Min-soo asks about that remedy herb that he heard about and stuff like that, and he was going to go to the library and all this stuff. Suwon just talks about the details that maybe, and kye-sook shows up and says the dragons want to join in today's military exercises, and Yona first fights this, but realizes it was the dragon's actual wish to probably get out in the open, and that's what kye-sook tells her, and so that's all good. She also comes to the revelation, after figuring out all about, the betrayal and the thing swept under the rug and all that stuff, she's now wondering if her own mother was actually murdered by a rebel, or was it something else. That's a big key thing again. So, now we also have the mystery of Yona's mother. How did she die? I assumed it was in childbirth, until we found out about the rebel thing. Did we know about the rebel thing beforehand? I feel like we knew that, but I always assumed it was death in childbirth or whatever like that. But I'm sure we did learn about the rebel thing before, because of course the mother of the Fire Tribe children, the wife of the general sort of idea, well, the mother of the current general, she was good friends with Yona's late mother and stuff, and so they did talk about Yona. This child has, protectors, four dragon protectors, blue, yellow, that kind of idea, right? And, she was like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, so I guess the rebel thing we probably did know, but now that's the new mystery. Was that the case, right? Was she killed by a rebel, or is now there a whole new mystery? That being said, with the rest of this chapter, we do get one mystery semi-solved. But, let's talk about it. We do get 2 rather cool scenes. Number 1, Zeno is involved again, and I love that. We get the epic shot right here that, of course, the 4 dragons are back out in the open. Hawks they're witnessing. They're there to view the military exercises and make a demonstration and all this fun jazz. But, of course, on the dragons' terms this time. So they say, well, let's display the power and sort of idea once again in a more controlled environment just for the military exercise portion. Everybody is there. Hawk is there. Suwon is there. General Jodo. They're all there. So Key just steps up to the plate. Rappa is meant to attack. Rushes up, runs, and is about to strike down, and they're like, Lord, White Dragon, move, move, move. And then kye-sook yells, Rappa! And just before it strikes Kija's head, Kye has not flinched, has not moved. And holds the sword and says, why won't you move? This is badass. This is one of the best moments from Kye that we've seen in a very long time. It basically states, our master is the Crimson Dragon King. In other words, Princess Yona and no one else. If it is not in order from her, the power of the dragons will not manifest itself. Now, technically correct, like the superpower that we saw that Gobi was so like, oh my god, about, but a little bit of a white lie here from the White Dragon himself. But I guess he's more talking less literally. It's like, we basically will not fight or raise our hand if Yona does not approve of it or agree with it. Our job is to protect her and follow her and her decisions, not the kingdom's. So, a little bit, you gotta read between the lines a little bit by what he actually means, but a lot of people there might take it literally just so he can make his point. But anyway, so he says, if you want our power, you're going to have to bring Yona out to us now. Do not think that you can take the Crimson Dragon King from us. And I'm like, awesome, awesome, Kye, good display. Everyone's like, all right. Now, kye-sook is worried about this, saying, did he do this just to embarrass his majesty? Suwon's like, oh, well, that's fine. I mean, if the dragons are at their leisure, don't worry. Our army is still invincible, even without the power of the dragons. You guys are awesome. Morale boost, right? It's like, okay, cool. Now we see Zeno noticing once again Suwon having this very weird look on his face, like he's in pain or something. Zeno wants to take him to this, aside. So they take him aside, and he starts talking, and all of a sudden it's boom, 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 question, question, question. The other dragons follow, and he says, does your head hurt? You haven't been looking well of lately. And Suwon, doing his usual stuff, I beg your pardon? No, I'm fine, and stuff like that. And then he asks Zeno to please stop, because he goes, are you forgetting I'm the yellow dragon? I have the power of immortality. Do you have headaches still? Does it hurt so much that your pain has split your head wide open? Your mother had it too. I knew your mother, and this kind of thing, and just keeps going on, and it's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And once again, I thought his mother was still alive. They thought she was dead. She is alive. She's just in a different residence. If that's the case, I'm wondering if Zeno will ask to go see her or something like that. Or Zeno will just go anyway. Who can stop Zeno? It's like, once again, who can stop Hawk? Well, who can stop Zeno? Zeno literally can't be stopped. He'll just keep walking until he gets wherever he wants to go. So, either way, Zeno basically says it's the illness that affects all of those, the Crimson illness, just like we are descendants, or you three are descendants of the dragons, and it has been carried on and passed on. It's left here a little ambiguous, but the blood has passed through the Crimson dragon illness, or the Crimson illness, that follows the lineage of the Crimson Dragon King. It's in your blood after many generations. Once again, I think it's just a translation thing. It implies that it can skip generations the way it's worded. However, our evidence is that Suwon's mother has this problem, as does Suwon himself. So there we have it. Literally, this affects all of those of the blood of King Hiryu himself. And that is, once again, this ties back to so many things. This talks about, so Zeno's first reaction when he first saw Suwon for the first time. Now we know why. Because he's actually, it would be more appropriate to say that Suwon is actually a direct descendant of King Hiryu. But Yona is, of course, of the same blood. But once again, they said that, this is very, very confusing in all honesty, because apparently over the course of history, this could be something else covered up. But over the course of history, the Sky Tribe is not the ones. Remember, the Fire Tribe believe that they are the direct descendants of King Hiryu. So who is the true descendants? Apparently, according to Zeno, and we'd have to take his word for it, Zeno's the one saying he's a direct descendant. Suwon is an actual direct descendant. And that would make Yona the cousin, and not a true direct descendant in that way. Though, once again, yeah, still a direct descendant, because both fathers came, unless it was the mother. So it's not actually the royalty bloodline, because as Yona stated, I believe, or somebody stated, that the ones in charge of Koka Kingdom, the ones in the royal capital in Hiryu Castle, have changed hands many times since the days of King Hiryu 2,000 years ago. there are no direct descendants that anybody is aware of. The Fire Tribe believe they are, but that's all hearsay. That's all it is. There is no direct line. The same line that rules right now is not that line. If it was Suwon's mother's side of the family, this would make total sense. It truly would, because then you could say, okay, that explains why it's not the battle-hardened father, it's not King Il himself, it's not Yona's mother, and it would explain why it... See, because once again, the dragons don't fall in that line really either. Kye being an exception to this, of course, but they don't fall into that thing. There is no necessarily direct descendant relation between the current dragons and the first dragons in the same way. So it's very strange, because it's been theorized that Suwon is actually the one that was born, that we're all supposed to care for, but it's also been heavily suggested that that's not the case, and it really is Yona. I would argue it would almost have to be Yona because of the reaction of the other three dragons. Zeno's reaction to Suwon is what threw us off this whole time. Now, Suwon's face tells a story that he already knew this, and he probably begrudges this fact. This is heavy. This chapter is great for not beating around the bush and finally giving us something to go on. I can't wait to see what chapter 190 brings, because there's just so much to talk about. From what I understand, I believe that Yona is the one that was born. She is the reincarnation. That's the key thing. Just like the dragons have been reincarnated, Suwon, from his mother's side, that way Yona and him don't actually share the same blood in this case, is a direct descendant from King Hiryu himself, his true bloodline. And he has the crimson illness. Yona is the reincarnation of King Hiryu and commands the power of the four dragons. That would make sense. It would speak about how the royalty know it's not actually direct descendants. It's come back that way, but it hasn't been for a very long time. That makes the history correct, because I don't think they could actually... How would that have ever worked? How could it have been? Because if that was the case, if it was from Suwon's father's side, then by that logic, it just so happened that the current royalty just happens to be direct descendants of King Hiryu again at the time of everything going down. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I believe it's from Suwon's mother's side, and that's why Suwon's mother has the illness, and it's probably carried down through the generations since, and they all know about it. It's kept secret. King Il probably knew about it. Maybe General Yuan knew about it or not. Suwon's father. Who else knows it's actually the crimson illness other than Suwon, Suwon's mother, and Zeno? That's what I'm curious about. Who else knew in the past? That's what makes me curious. But anyways, there's plenty to talk about this for the next chapter review. Are you guys excited for it? Because I really am. I think 190 will be great for everything, for my problem with the beginning of the chapter and my whole little Hawk Stan rant. This made up for that in spades. One of my favorite characters, Zeno, just bringing on the good, bringing us the facts, Suwon being involved, what's going on with that, bringing out the theories and getting the mind working. I love it. I really do. It was a very good chapter. I really did enjoy it, but what did you guys think of it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Like, comment, and subscribe as always. It's always very much appreciated. Don't forget to join my Discord down below if you guys want to do that and know every single time I drop a video. You can also hit the bell notification if you don't want to do that. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Drink responsibly as always. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for Akatsuki no Yona, Chapter 189. Looking forward to 190, guys. See you next time.